Do you want to know a simple yet effective way to end procrastination for good? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you how. I'm Dr. Keisha Moore of Life and Focus Coaching. And today I'd like to share with you a focused insight on beating procrastination. So, many of us struggle with procrastination, but we probably don't understand what's really driving it. Some people think procrastinators are lazy, and procrastination is about laziness and just not wanting to do the work. But that's not true. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's about avoiding uncomfortable emotions. Procrastination is about managing our anxiety. So, what do I mean? How does procrastination help us manage our anxiety? When we procrastinate, what we're actually putting off are the feelings that we anticipate will come with us performing the task. So if I have a paper to write, and when I think about writing the paper, I already start to get stressed and I feel like, oh, I'm worried it might not be good enough, or maybe I'm not the best writer, or my teacher will think I'm stupid. And so it's those ideas and the negative feelings that come up with those ideas that are really uncomfortable for me and I want to end. And so procrastination actually helps me manage those feelings. By putting the task off, I can say, okay, I'm just not going to focus on that right now. I'll worry about that another day. And the negative feelings subside. So in the short term, procrastination is actually an emotional management system. It's a way of managing our anxiety. It's not an effective way of managing our anxiety, but that's why we think procrastination works for us. And that's why we continue to procrastinate, because on some level, at least in the short term, it does make us feel better. However, in the long term, procrastination actually creates a lot more problems. It makes everything harder. Procrastination makes missed opportunities. Oftentimes, procrastination generates more stress, new problems that have emerged because we've procrastinated. Procrastination lowers our productivity. I used to be someone who would swear that I'm such a good procrastinator and I do my best work through procrastination. And the truth is that just wasn't true. It wasn't my best work. It was just the way that I could manage my anxiety enough to actually sit down and do the work. But I can show you a better way to manage anxiety without procrastinating, in a way that allows you to do your best work. The other thing I want to remind you that maybe we might not be focused on is the negative impact that procrastination has on our physical health. So there's actually a substantial amount of research that shows that when we procrastinate, we actually have poorer health outcomes over our life. So people who procrastinate are much more likely to be sick and to have chronic illnesses. And it's not just because they put off going to the doctor, it's even for other people who go to the doctor just as frequently or just as infrequently as procrastinators. Procrastinators have worse health outcomes. So procrastination is very deadly and damaging to us. It's damaging to our physical health. It's damaging to our productivity, which connects with our financial health. And it's damaging to our emotional relationships. So in the short term, procrastination might serve us, but it does not serve us in the long term. And so I'd like to share with you a resource that I use and that I teach my clients to use to help overcome the anxiety that procrastination is designed to manage. So here it is. It's on your phone or in your kitchen right now. It's a timer. I suggest that you use a timer to manage the anxiety that's associated with a task that you would normally use procrastination to manage. So how can a timer actually help you manage your anxiety? Let me explain. The most difficult part of a task is often beginning it. Even when we think about beginning the task, the feelings of confusion and frustration and we just think it's just going to be such a negative experience that we don't even want to start. And so using a timer can actually help us to start the task. You can endure almost anything if the time period is short enough. And using a timer, you can set your timer for just 2 to 5 minutes and say, okay, I'm just going to work on this task for 2 minutes or for 5 minutes. And no matter what feelings come up, I'm going to stay with the task until the timer goes off. That's a contract that you can make with yourself and that you can keep with yourself. And it allows you to actually begin the task, which is often the hardest part. So what happens when the timer goes off? You set the timer for 5 minutes, it goes off. It is critical that you then stop. At the end of the 5 minutes, when the timer's off, you stop and you reassess. You ask yourself, how am I feeling now? Do I want to continue or do I want to stop and pick this up at another time? Both answers are appropriate and both answers are forms of success. So you may find that when you've started the task, it's not nearly as uncomfortable as you thought it would be. And you might feel like, I'm on a roll. I just want to keep going with this. And that's perfectly fine. You can continue to work on the project. But at the end of 5 minutes, you may feel like, yeah, this did not feel good at all. And I want to stop. And that's perfectly fine. You can stop the task. You pull out your calendar. You look and schedule another time that you'll pick this up. So the purpose of using the timer is that it allows you to really be fully focused on the task at hand. You don't have to keep checking the clock to see how many minutes have passed. You can throw yourself into the task knowing that the timer will ring when your 5 minutes is up. And knowing that I can stop this after 5 minutes actually gives you more power and helps you to feel better about beginning. So the purpose of using the timer is not to finish the task all at one sitting, but to build the habit that will allow you to finish your task on time and in the most productive way where you've actually put your best foot forward. So there's actual research that suggests that starting a task and then taking long breaks in between starting and finishing or starting and picking it back up improves your creativity. Why is that? Because when you start something, your brain is kind of actively working on it. When you then stop actively working on it, there's a part of your subconscious that's continuing to work on that problem. You're continuing to think about it. You're continuing to come up with new solutions to that problem. Even though you're not consciously focused on it, your brain is still working and processing. So when you return back to the activity, when you've scheduled and you come back to the task, you have new ideas, new insights, new structure to your project. So using a timer and taking breaks in between can actually not only make your work more productive, but also more creative as well. So that's my suggestion to you. The next time you have an assignment and the minute you get it, you feel your stomach start to knot up and you start to feel tense and you're like, oh, I'll just start that tomorrow. Grab your timer and say, no, I'm going to start it today, right now. Schedule 5 minutes on your timer and begin the task. You will find that by implementing this on a regular basis in your life, you'll be able to manage your anxiety and be more productive and beat procrastination for good. So if you'd like more advice on how you can be more productive or more resources about how you can improve all areas of your life, please do check out my blog, Living From Your Bliss, at www.yourlifeinfocuscoach.com. Also connect with me via Facebook at Life in Focus Coaching. As always, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of the insights that I deliver on a weekly basis, and comment If you have any questions about using the timer method, or if you have other techniques that you use to beat procrastination, please do share them. I'm sure I would love to hear them, and I'm sure our viewers would also love to benefit from your wisdom and your insight. Again, I'm Dr. Keisha Moore of Life in Focus Coaching, and I am wishing you a life full of meaning, purpose, and joy. Have a good day.